WYFF News 4 today.
Now on WYFF News 4 Sports Special.
And that's what we want to do, is take the best available player.
It's draft night. Area athletes hoping to hear their names called.
Football is where my heart's at. That's what I love to do.
I feel like I'm the best defensive player in the draft.
I got to bring my best, and I only get one opportunity at this.
The Panthers and Falcons hoping to build their team.
We feel very excited and prepared going into the draft.
Complete coverage tonight on Draft Night.
Tank for Trevor is over. The Jaguars hit the jackpot, and Thursday night, Lawrence will, in all likelihood, become the first Clemson Tiger ever selected first overall in the NFL Draft. Thanks for joining us for Draft Night. I'm Mark Whiteman. Julia Morris will join us in just a moment. It's not just Lawrence. For years, you've cheered their names. In the nights to come, you will hear them called as the future of the NFL.
Trevor Lawrence, he's going to look up top. He's got a man behind the defense. Once again, it's Amari Rodgers.
I come on the field, trying to dominate the player across me. Whoever decides to draft me or pick me up, I'm going to go out there and give them my all.
Cornell Powell with the catch for the touchdown. He's still running all the way to the end zone. Travis Etienne.
Wherever I get dropped, I'm just forever grateful and just ready to go out there and just give it all to my team.
And it's picked off by J.C. Horn.
I feel like I'm the best defensive player in the draft.
Oh, Shai Smith off the ladder, pulls it in for touchdown.
Azeez Ojulari has made a big impact tonight, as he typically does.
A marketing major from Cartersville, Georgia, number 16, Trevor Lawrence.
It's really changed my life being here. Just been so fortunate to be in a place like Clemson.
And where will Mr. Lawrence end up? In all likelihood, it will be Jacksonville. What a weekend it will be. Tonight, we will line up the storylines, names and teams that matter. Then we want you to hop in. Starting at 7:30, Julie and I will move over to Facebook Live, where we will be taking your draft questions. Our Q&A session begins at 7:30.
Lawrence won't have to wait long to hear his name called, but he's just one of 259 players that will be drafted by Saturday night. As of now, Falcons and Panthers picking early Thursday night. Atlanta holds the 4th pick right behind Jacksonville. The Jets and San Francisco, all of which are expected to take a quarterback. The Panthers pick 8th. Carolina General Manager Scott Fitterer said earlier this week he's open to trading back in the draft, something Atlanta has also expressed interest in.
And Julia, for the 3rd time ever and the first since 1999, this year's draft will begin with at least 3 straight quarterbacks. Trevor Lawrence a near certainty to go first overall. Same with BYU's Zach Wilson, second to the Jets. But the 3rd pick is where things get interesting. San Francisco traded up for a quarterback, but who they pick, whether it's Mac Jones, Trey Lance, or Justin Fields, still anyone's guess. Trevor Lawrence was always supposed to be here, but it so rarely happens like this. The winningest quarterback in Clemson history will join Jadeveon Clowney Thursday night as the only 2 players since the 24/7 recruiting database began to go from #1 recruit to #1 pick. He arrived at Clemson with insurmountable hype and expectation and somehow exceeded it all.
With the first pick in the NFL Draft.
Those words have never belonged to a Clemson Tiger until tomorrow night.
And there is no surprise at the top. Clemson's Trevor Lawrence.
No surprise here, Buck. Going Trevor Lawrence.
It's Trevor Lawrence, #1 overall out of Clemson. The perfect prospect.
Trevor Lawrence on the tip of the tongue for draft pundits everywhere as the first pick. And it's no wonder why.
Touchdown! What a laser from Trevor Lawrence. 68 yards from Trevor Lawrence. Is that the future first pick in the draft?
But before the games and the glory, highlights and heroics, Lawrence was just a quiet, unassuming, anointed one. The nation's top recruit fighting for the Tigers' starting job.
I feel like I've always been ready to start, but like I said, it's not my decision. And what we're doing right now is working out well. We're 4-0, so whatever they want to do, I'm all for.
Lawrence going to fire. Touchdown Tigers. Renfro.
In late September, after tossing 4 touchdowns in Atlanta against Georgia Tech, less than an hour from where he grew up in Cartersville, the freshman earned the starting nod.
It just came down to you got to reward productivity. And if you look at his opportunities, he's taking advantage of them.
You just know when you know. He just clearly was the best guy. What he's done since then is incredible.
Lawrence with the rush coming, finds T. Higgins, touchdown.
By early January, he was a national champion.
The way we play for each other, the way these coaches love the players, and just everyone is special.
I mean, I've never been around a guy that's just more dialed in to today. He loves to play. He loves to prepare. He loves the challenge. But like I said many times, just a true joy to be able to work with him every single day.
As a starter, he went 34-2, growing into one of the most decorated athletes in the history of the sport. And as he matured on the field, he found his voice off of it, standing alongside teammates in protest against racial injustice and police brutality last summer.
I'm on the journey now of discovering how I can use my voice, platform, and influence to lift others up and stand for those who shouldn't have to stand alone.
And when the pandemic encroached, the face of college football became the face of the We Want to Play movement.
We were like, man, we got to do something quick, and we got to do something that'll make people read it and, make people listen.
That's just more of a thank you for everything you've done kind of thing.
The season he fought to save didn't end the way he envisioned, but Lawrence's place in college football lore is secure.
Obviously, the play and all the accolades, all that stuff kind of will eventually speak for itself, but that's really not the main thing for me. Is just being a good person, being a good teammate. I hope that's what people say about me whenever I leave here.
And Lawrence is not the only Tiger that could end up drafted in the first round. Running back Travis Etienne is rising up the draft boards late in the process. Etienne could have easily turned pro at the end of his junior year, but he chose to return to Clemson to finish his degree, saying he wanted to be a role model for his younger brother and kids in his home state of Louisiana. He shattered countless records as a senior, becoming the ACC's career rushing leader and breaking the FBS record for games scoring a touchdown. Etienne and Alabama's Najee Harris considered the two best players at the position in this year's draft. Etienne confident he's the best.
Makes me the best back in the draft is my ability to do more with less. Being an all-around guy, being a guy who's going to be out there each and every down. You get a consistent guy, a great guy who's going to work hard, on and off the field, not going to bring any trouble to the team, no negative media to the team, things of that sort. So you get a great guy who's going to work hard and won't cause any distractions to the team.
Etienne says his dream scenario would be to join former Tigers Isaiah Simmons and DeAndre Hopkins in Arizona. Arizona has the 16th pick, but most projections show Etienne being drafted after that. He's been connected to New York and Buffalo, with ESPN analyst Todd McShay reporting earlier this week that the Bills are interested in trading up to draft him.
So much intrigue to come, and we are on the clock and just getting started. The Panthers and Falcons both with a prime opportunity to improve their rosters in the days ahead. Potential targets still to come. And J.C. Horn believes he's the best defensive player in the draft. The South Carolina standout has the tape and the bloodlines to back it up. He's just one of many area stars waiting to find out where they will end up. It's all straight ahead. You're watching Draft Night.
Follow WYFF News 4.
Download the WYFF 4 app today.
The University of South Carolina has not had a first-round draft pick since Hayden Hurst was drafted in the first round in 2018. But this year, former Gamecock cornerback J.C. Horn is expected to be a top 20 pick.
Football is in J.C. Horn's blood.
There's J.C. Horn again making a play.
His dad, Joe, was a four-time Pro Bowl receiver, racking up 603 receptions and 58 receiving touchdowns during his 12-year NFL career.
I just loved knowing that people was at my neck, like me being Joe Horn's son. I love people wanting to knock me off just because of that. So that's where the chirpiness and all that come from.
Horn's two brothers followed in their dad's footsteps, playing receiver, but Joe pushed JC to the other side of the ball.
My ball skills, he always harped on. If I could do that at the cornerback position, one day I'll make a lot of money. We sometimes go back and forth about it. I pick on my dad, telling him that, he wouldn't be able to get open on me.
Horn oozes confidence, but for good reason. In 2019, he registered a team-high 9 pass breakups at South Carolina. This past season, he led the Gamecocks with 8 passes defended.
Like you said, it was highs and lows. We didn't get to win as many games as we wanted to, but I feel like this program, the fans, the coaches, the players around me, motivated me into the man I am today.
While Horn thrived on the field, he dealt with adversity off it, leading to his decision to opt out of the 2020 season after playing in 7 games.
My 2 younger siblings got COVID. My grandparents got it. And my aunt, who was considered a high risk, got it. And ultimately she passed, but that was my main reason for opting out, getting a chance to spend time with them. And I can tell you now, if I can go back, I opt out again, because, I put my family before anything.
Despite his collegiate career ending earlier than he expected, Horn's still confident in his skill set.
I feel like I'm the best defensive player in the draft. I'm versatile, I got the size, got the speed, athletic. I face every receiver body type, from Kyle Pitts to Elijah Moore, Devontae Smith. And, I feel like I'm just the best defensive player in the draft.
He's also leaned on his dad for advice about playing in the league.
Kind of just, staying humble, keeping an empty cup, learning from any and everybody in the building or in the facility, wherever I'm at. Just trying to strive to get 1% better every day, never feeling like I made it or, I'm too good to take any advice from anybody.
Now, as he gets closer to his dream coming true and potentially being a first-round draft pick, Horn's cherishing the moment and what it means for his family.
Definitely going to be, fun, being able to live out my dream, and, my dad seeing me playing the same league he dominated in. So it's just a blessing all around.
It will definitely be a week to remember for the Horn family. JC has been projected as high as 10th overall to Dallas. The Cowboys could use the help. Their defense gave up more than 11 yards per completion last year. Horn's also been connected to Philadelphia and Arizona in the front half of the first round.
Azeez Ojulari wreaked havoc in Athens, leading the Bulldogs in sacks in back-to-back seasons. Like Horn, he's considered one of the premier defensive players in the draft. He played 23 games for UGA, racked up 71 total tackles and 14 sacks, and went out in style with 3 sacks and 2 forced fumbles in Georgia's Chick-fil-A Bowl win over Cincinnati. The redshirt sophomore also led the squad in quarterback pressures.
I got the quick first step. I'm explosive. I use my hands well. I use my hands extremely good. If you beat the hands, you beat the man. I always go by that. And I can bend. I just feel like I'm that guy.
Ton of talent with that kid. His 12.5 tackles for loss was best in the SEC last season. Ojulari generally considered a mid to late first-round pick that could end up at the top of the second round. The Vikings and Titans both in need of an edge rusher, as do the Jets, who could target him with their second first-round pick or at the top of the second.
Less than 6 months after tearing his ACL during a 2019 spring practice, Amari Rodgers was back on the field, topping 120 yards and scoring twice against Syracuse. It's that work ethic that's helped propel him up draft boards. Rodgers isn't the biggest or the fastest receiver, but Dabo Swinney raved about his commitment to practice and details as he led the Tigers in receptions and receiving yards this year. Rodgers taking that student of the game mentality to the next level.
I always study the best receivers or the best players and study their mindsets. And that's really the main thing that they say is they practice hard and they practice like it's a game so that when the game comes, it's easy. So just picking up that mindset and then going and doing it. And I feel like it translated over to, my best season, my senior year.
Perfect throw. ESPN's Mel Kiper has Rodgers going in the second round and called him one of the best slot receivers in this draft. Cornell Powell and Jackson Carman, 2 other Tigers likely to be drafted. Powell, a great story, had a breakout season as a 5th-year senior, recording career highs in receptions, receiving yards, and receiving touchdowns in 2020, and is projected as a mid to late round pick. Jackson Carman started all 27 games the last 2 years and could be just the 6th offensive lineman to ever be drafted under Dabo Swinney. Carman could go as early as the second round.
In this pass-happy era of football, NFL teams are always looking for speedy defensive backs, and Georgia's Eric Stokes and Tyson Campbell both fit the bill. The defensive back duo shined on the field this year and followed that up with stellar pro days. Stokes led the SEC with 4 interceptions and was named first-team all-conference because of it, before running a 4.25 40-yard dash at his pro day. Campbell is a former 5-star recruit who ran in the 4.3s. Both could end up sneaking into the bottom of the first round, but day 2 in the second or third round may be a little bit more likely. 4 more former Gamecocks also draft hopefuls. Linebacker Ernest Jones led the team in tackles. He could go in Friday's second or third round. Wideout Shi Smith, he had a breakout season and followed that up with a really impressive week of practices at the Senior Bowl. He projects as a 3rd or 4th round pick. Cornerbacks Israel Mukwamu and offensive lineman Sedarius Hutcherson, who started 38 games for Carolina, potential picks on Saturday.
The Panthers making a big move to acquire a new signal caller. Still to come, Sam Darnold on his goals in Charlotte. Quarterback, playmaker, or a trade down? What will the Falcons do with the 4th overall pick? Stay with us. You're watching Draft Night on WYFF 4.
Follow WYFF News 4 Hardee's. Feed your happy.
Hey, welcome back to Draft Night. With Trevor Lawrence and Zach Wilson all but official as picks 1 and 2, the draft really starts at 3. And where the Falcons are going 4 is anyone's guess. It's been an offseason of upheaval in Atlanta after firing Dan Quinn amid a 4-12 season. Tomorrow begins their first draft under first-time head coach Arthur Smith and first-time GM Terry Fontenot. The team restructured quarterback Matt Ryan's contract to create salary space. Ryan has 2 years left on his deal, but some mock drafts have Atlanta drafting former North Dakota State quarterback Trey Lance 4th overall. Lance is an interesting prospect. He has size and a really impressive arm, but has just 1 full season of college ball under his belt. He's only played 17 games. He threw for more than 2,700 yards with 28 touchdowns in 2019, but did not play this past season when the Bison pushed their season to the spring. On Wednesday, Fontenot saying anything is possible come Thursday night.
There's still variables involved, so we know the players that we would be discussing there, and we can all anticipate the first 3 picks, but it has to actually happen. And then from that point, we have to weigh the options in terms of if we trade back and compare it to the player we could get it for, or if we trade back, what would be the value? So we have to weigh all those different variables and those different scenarios.
And if Justin Fields is available before, he's also someone the Falcons could pick, bringing the Kennesaw product back to his home state. We remember how good he was against Clemson in the Sugar Bowl. If the Falcons don't take a quarterback, most experts have mocked Florida tight end Kyle Pitts to Atlanta. The 6'6", 245-pound unicorn averaged 18 yards a catch and hauled in 12 touchdowns in 8 games this season. He has everything you want in an offensive mismatch and is widely regarded as the best player in the draft, not named Trevor Lawrence.
The Panthers already adding a new quarterback to their roster a few weeks ago when the team acquired Sam Darnold in a trade with the Jets. Carolina giving up 3 draft picks in exchange for the former 3rd overall pick, with the organization looking at his potential rather than his career numbers. When you take a closer look at those numbers, Darnold hasn't quite lived up to the hype of a top NFL draft pick with a 13-25 record, throwing 50 career touchdowns and 46 interceptions. But the newest member of the Panthers saying he's eager to improve. During his introductory press conference, Darnold saying he plans to learn Carolina's offense as quickly as possible.
I'm just coming in with an open mind and, just seeking for, a great opportunity to, lead this football team and just move the ball up and down the field and score touchdowns. That's what I'm most excited about, and I think I have a really good opportunity here to do that.
With Teddy Bridgewater on the move to Denver now, Darnold should be Carolina's starter this season. The trade for Darnold, certainly the biggest move so far in Scott Fitterer's short tenure with Carolina. He was named GM in January, coming over from the West Coast, where he was the Seattle Seahawks Vice President of Football Operations. Fitterer enters his first draft with the Panthers a year after Carolina made history. In the 2020 draft, Carolina became the first team in the modern era to draft only defensive players. That likely won't happen again this year, with most mock drafts showing Carolina taking an offensive lineman with the 8th overall pick. But if somehow Fields falls to that spot, it would certainly make things interesting. And Fitterer did not rule out the possibility that the team would draft a quarterback in the first round.
This doesn't take us out of anything in the draft. Doesn't take us out of taking a quarterback. Doesn't take us out of taking, any position. What we wanted to do going into this draft, through free agency, through this trade with Sam, is to just get rid of all the needs that we have. We just wanted to get to a place where our roster was in a good spot where we can take the best available player, number 8.
While drafting a quarterback is certainly flashy and exciting, the left tackle position seems to be the Panthers' biggest need. The consensus top left tackles in this draft are Oregon's Penei Sewell and Rashawn Slater out of Northwestern. Sewell seems more likely to go before the Panthers pick, projected as a top 5 pick. He did not play in 2020, opting out of the season, but had an impressive 2019. He did not allow a single sack, and for 8 straight games, he did not allow a single quarterback pressure. Slater also opted out of the 2020 season, but just like Sewell, his 2019 numbers have put him in the conversation to be a top 10 pick. He did not allow a single sack and allowed just 1 quarterback hit all season.
Two very impressive offensive linemen, those two are. We know Trevor Lawrence will make Clemson history, but where does his #1 night stack up in the ACC? We're going by the numbers. And while we do, we're winding the clock, getting ready for the second half of our draft night special. We're going digital. Join us on Facebook Live. We'll take your NFL draft questions starting at 7:30.
Check live Super Doppler 4 HD.
2021 Tucson. Visit buyhyundai.com today.
Some numbers for you. The NFL Draft is a 3-day event consisting of 259 picks over 7 rounds. For more detailed digits, let's go by the numbers, and we begin with the number 2. While Trevor Lawrence would make history as Clemson's first ever #1 pick in the NFL Draft, he would be just the 3rd ACC player to go first overall. The first 2, Mario Williams of NC State in 2006 and Jameis Winston of Florida State in 2015. There are current ACC schools with a history of #1 picks like Virginia Tech and Miami, but they weren't in the conference when those guys were drafted. Our next number is 10. The Jacksonville Jaguars have drafted 10 college quarterbacks in 25 years of the franchise history. 8 of those quarterbacks started at least 1 game for the team. The highest pick was Blake Bortles, the 3rd overall in 2019.
We also broke down where the Falcons and Panthers look most often for draft picks. The Falcons have gone with more LSU players than any other school. And there is a crowded tie at second between Southern Cal, Oklahoma, Ohio State, and Wisconsin. Atlanta has picked 7 Clemson Tigers and 5 South Carolina Gamecocks. Clemson's actually tied with LSU for sending 4 players to the Falcons over the last 10 drafts. Carolina has selected 6 players each from Auburn, Stanford, and Georgia. The Panthers have gone with 4 Gamecocks, but have never drafted a Clemson player. Just one of the South Carolina players picked has joined the team since 2010, and Carolina has picked a player from Coastal Carolina.
So the storylines are set. The draft's nearly here, but we've still got a ways to go tonight. We're taking the show to the web for half hour number 2. If you're as excited for this weekend as we are, join Julie and me online where we will be taking your draft questions on Facebook Live, Q&A style. We want you to get involved, and that will be starting in just a few moments. Until that time, we'll see you back here in just a few. Thank you for joining us on Draft Night.
Chevy is America's fastest